Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Clergy Council, as usual, for putting on a wonderful program, and it is much appreciated, and it's a wonder to be able to look out in this audience and see everybody from different walks of life in our wonderful community of East Brunswick. But I know that we are very fortunate to live in this very wonderful, diverse community, and I often marvel at the sheer number of people living here in East Brunswick who are first-generation residents in the United States. Roughly 30% of those that live here are first generation, speak so many different languages, represent so many different ethnicities, and belong to a multitude of faiths. I remember still vividly, not that long ago, going to school at the East Brunswick Public Schools when they have Read Across America, and I get an opportunity to read to the second grade, third, fourth graders. It's really just like looking out at a League of Nations being here in East Brunswick. And the funny thing is, they don't even know they look different, which is so terrific. But I can't ignore the fact that today we live in a very polarized world. And we've almost normalized hate and hate groups, which is terrible. And this is the enemy that tears at the fabric of our country. It tears at our democracy. And we're not immune from that in this little Anatevka that we call East Brunswick. I thank the residents of East Brunswick and Americans in general who voted primarily this year to support democracy and decency, despite the fact that we know we've got high gas prices and inflation, and we have to deal with high interest rates and wars overseas, all of which rise and fall outside of politics. But one group in particular has been the primary target of hate, and it should be a clarion call to all of us who bask in an illusion of tranquility, thinking that all of the atrocities that we watch on television can never happen here. Who's that group? Unfortunately, it's people who belong to the Jewish faith. And that's not to say that these attacks haven't happened to other groups. We just witnessed the LGBT community that was preyed upon this past weekend. We've seen it happen to Asians and Muslims and African Americans. But crime statistics will show consistently that Jews are the target of hate crimes more than any other group, and that number and percent is growing every year. Now, I remember a couple years ago I did a town hall over at East Brunswick Jewish Center. And on a regular basis, the doors and shuls are locked. In order to get in, you need to either have a code or get in or be brought in. That's standard procedure. But town halls are open to everybody. And it turned out that the guard who was watching the door that evening had to go to the bathroom for 2 seconds, so he wasn't at the door, and people were knocking at the door. They couldn't get in. I was getting cell phones, text messages. Did I change the night? Did I move it to a different place? How come we can't get in? And when they finally let people in, I was like, well, thank God you guys aren't Jewish, because this is the stuff we deal with every single day. And that was before Tree of Life in Pittsburgh and Poway and Jersey City. And all of us know that just short of a week ago, we just discovered that an 18-year-old in Sayreville living in Winding Woods was arrested for attempts or at least threats for attacks on Jewish communities. And in the report that we were able to read, it says that his intention was to attack a Jewish center close to where he lives. There's no Jewish centers in Sayreville. The closest Jewish center are the 4 in East Brunswick. So you don't know how close we actually came to being on the news like you see all of these other tragedies. My rabbi starts out every single service pointing out where the exits are, every week. I was recently at an APAC event in North Jersey. Do you know what the most common course rabbis and TNACs are taking right now? It's not learning Torah. It's not learning how to, or trying to see how we can bring more people back to shul. It's learning how to operate a firearm, because they are all armed. They feel that it is now their responsibility not only to administer to their congregants, but to protect them as well. And sitting back and being quiet doesn't work. My father-in-law was a survivor of the Holocaust, and he remembers very vividly that all the clergy in Hungary, where he came from, said, "Be quiet, don't rock the boat, don't make waves, this'll all pass." They all died. My father-in-law died a year ago at 96 years of age because he didn't listen. So I believe that our community is one that wouldn't sit by. I want to believe that. We won't let things it'll just pass, not rock the boat. I believe that we have an obligation, all of us, to be upstanders, to speak up when we see injustice, and to call out hate when we see it, and hold our public officials to the highest standards. This is what we teach our children. That's what they're learning in school. They all know what an upstander is. And speaking about our youth, I am the most thankful for our young people who showed up in large numbers this year and voted in record numbers. And they are the leaders of movements that question and respectfully challenge norms. Some of our greatest social changes that ever occurred in American history came from an energized and motivated youth. So as I look out at this audience, particularly at the young people, I see hope. I see diversity. I see optimism. I see community. I see strength. So stand up. Speak out. Be a good person and always do the right thing. Because I know that when you do that, we can truly all have something to be thankful for. So God bless you. God bless East Brunswick. God bless our troops. And God bless the United States of America.